What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a Puncher's Chance. What are we, episode 3, 4?
Something like that. Three or
Yeah,
four.
we're moving on up. We've got first off, this card is insanely stacked. There's so many fights we could talk about. We're going to focus on the big three, the championship fights. I mean, when you have gold to be fought for, we feel like that's where our attention should be dumped onto. Yeah, this fight card is legit, man.
When your main card is 3 championship fights, like I feel bad for dudes like Dominic Cruz and Drew Dober and Islam Makhachev that should, I mean, in all seriousness, could be any fight night, could be main card
Yeah,
of just about every other pay-per-view.
yeah. Yeah, that's the crazy part is like, if you look at this, this is like one of the best ESPN pluses that we would have gotten on a normal fight night, all mixed in with one of the best pay-per-views we'll probably have all year.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 gold fights. I still can't get over that. Dana White is coming for, I mean, we're seeing him cut people left and right. Like Dana White is ready to trim out the UFC and get only the best of the best, the elite of the elite. And we're seeing that now. He's starting to just carve out people left and right. Let's start with one of the big fights. Peter Yan and then Sterling. Yan versus Sterling. This is an interesting fight for a lot of people. I mean, it's basically a dead even match right now in the Vegas odds. So what do you have going on?
I think that this is Aljamain's fight, and it's not even close.
Really?
Peter Yan is a great boxer.
Yeah.
He's his wrestling, he's not really known for wrestling. Aljamain's got incredible wrestling.
Yeah.
He's got great jiu-jitsu, he's got great striking. And I just don't see how Peter Yan can beat him. But that's not saying he can't, given the namesake, Puncher's Chance, and he's got a shot, but I think this is dead even as far as Vegas is concerned, because everybody, including myself, has been counting Peter Yan out for his entire career. But I think Aljo's got this, and I think he's inside of 3 rounds decision.
The best part of that thing that you just said was that everybody's been counting against Peter Yan his whole career. It's true. He's kind of one of those guys that, like, when you say Peter Yan has a championship belt, you're like, are we sure we're talking about the same person? Like, yeah, that same guy somehow has always found a way to win. Seems like he just squeaks by every single fight. Like, not too dominant, not too poor, just always squeaks by, holding the belt right now. I'm with you here. I was going to go Sterling from the beginning. Well, like you said, while Peter Yan is a much better boxer, I don't think that this is going to become a boxing fight. What have we seen in some of the best fights around as of late? I mean, a boxer can only do so much in the UFC. Conor McGregor, arguably the best boxer in all of the UFC, is just getting worked. Why? Because you can't just sit back and throw a punch after a punch against guys that are great kickers, great strikers, and great on the ground. At some point, you got to do something different. And I think Sterling is going to be that brick wall that Yan finally hits.
Yeah, I think he's going to go in there. And I mean, the game plan is going to be the same. Jan's going to say, I'm going to try to punch you. And Sterling's like, awesome. The minute I can grab you, you're going to the ground and you're going to get worked.
Yeah.
And Yan doesn't have an answer on the ground. And if I said it once, I said 1,000 times. Every fight it starts standing up, but every fight ends up on the ground. So I think if he can get him, I think if Sterling can get a hold of him, it'll be short work.
And there's very few people that can keep that distance and make it just simply a punching fight. And I don't think Yan is one of those guys from what we've seen in his track record. So first championship in the books. I'm going to go Sterling taking this belt. You're taking Sterling as well here. Finally have a new champion, and a well-deserved one at that. Next, we have arguably the biggest mismatched Vegas odds that I think I've ever seen in the history of any sport.
Disrespectful. Just
But yeah,
disrespectful.
it's not even just it's not even disrespectful at this point. When you look at the Vegas odds, it's past the point of disrespect. I don't know what's past disrespect, but it's that. Like, it is the most horrible thing I've ever seen when it comes to the odds of this fight. Amanda Nunes, arguably, you could put her up there as one of the top 5 greatest fighters of all time. A lot of people have talked about that lately.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Megan Anderson. Now, Megan Anderson comes in with a lot of advantages over Nunes. She's got the size, she's got the reach, but Amanda Nunes, I've not really seen, she has 4 losses here, but I've not really seen too many weaknesses as of late. She seems like her last 3 fights, she's really just clicked into that, like, another level mode where you're just like, there's nothing that can touch this person while she's in her prime. What do you got going on?
Well, believe it or not, the odds for this have actually gotten better. It
Have they?
opened as Nunes as a minus 1250,
Yeah.
and Megan being a plus 750. So for our undegenerates in the audience here, that means if you put $10 on Megan Anderson and she won, you would win $750 for $10 down. Like, that's how bad it was that they said, you know what, if you, you toss $10 in, you'll walk away with almost $1,000. But I mean, Megan's a former Invicta fight championship champion.
Yeah.
She's got all the tools. She can strike with the best of them, but she's just running into a brick wall. The only shot I think she has in this is if Amanda Nunes is checked out.
Yeah.
Her and her partner just had a baby. She's kind of talked about there not being much for her, and to be honest, not much for her. I mean, Megan got beat up by Felicia Spencer. Nunes destroyed Felicia Spencer. So it just, you go through these fights and there's just nothing left for her.
Yeah.
So if really she just didn't train, heart's not in it, really that's Megan's best shot.
Yeah.
And that's terrible to say, and I feel awful saying it, but Vegas
Yeah, I was
doesn't
about to
get
say.
these things wrong.
Yeah, Vegas didn't feel too bad putting the odds against her. That's an interesting point that you bring up there. It kind of reminds me of like John Jones before he moved up to heavyweight. There was nothing really left for him to do. He had already conquered just about everything. And that's why I'm so excited to see a motivated John Jones into heavyweight.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like you said about Amanda Nunes. It's one of those things like, is she really in it? Does she really care to get punched in the face anymore? At this point, it seems like she's conquered the world, and she's done so in incredible fashion. I'm going to go with the champion here. I think Amanda Nunes shows up, but there's always, like we talk about on the show, there's always a puncher's chance. Like you said, Megan Anderson is a very good striker. She's got size on her. She's got reach on her. So can things get interesting? I think they can, but if Amanda Nunes shows up the way that she has her last 4 fights, I think Amanda Nunes goes out there and just wrecks her. Probably, beginning of the second, I'm saying there's probably stoppage.
Yeah, I think that there's a good shot this doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, no.
And I feel awful saying it. I just don't see. Like when you do MMA math, which is flawed at best, every good win that Megan has, Nunes starched them inside of 5 rounds. So it's just, you just go, okay, at what point is she just going to say there's nothing there for her? Yeah. The best chance we got of Amanda Nunes sticking around is Kayla Harrison leaving the PFL and coming to the UFC. That's the best shot there is of there being a challenge for her at this point. So
yeah, I think the gold remains with Amanda Nunes, and this might be an intriguing thing here. She's got her everything really set in a row. Her she's got a good home life. She's has a baby, like stuff like that. Like maybe this is one of Amanda Nunes's last few fights if she decides that. I know a lot of people have been talking about more so her legacy as of late. So kind of hinting towards, her camp talked a lot about it in a lot of these interviews lately. So it kind of feels like they're hinting towards like, hey, maybe 1 or 2 more fights and we're retiring. You walk off as one of the greatest to ever do it. I don't know. It's interesting to see what she does after this fight.
Crack a Modelo open.
Yeah. Crack a Modelo open, go do a bunch of commercials the rest of your life. Like, just walk away and be done. But I think we're both going champ here. And that brings us to the main championship event. And I mean, there's some great fights on this card, but there's nothing probably more exciting in the sport until John Jones is fighting again than Israel Adonijah. I mean, he grew in my heart the last couple of fights. I was never a huge fan. And then, I mean, I had to fall in love with this guy. He has, of course, one of the most iconic videos of, I'm prepared to die in the octagon. We all know what happened in that fight. He's not going up against a slouch, though. Like, this fight is not just a gimme. While Israel Adonijah should win this fight, I don't think this is going to be his easy cakewalks that he's had as of late.
Oh, I have to disagree with you on that one.
Really?
I mean, very similar to Peter Yan, Jan Bokovic, and it goes against every ounce of Polish in me to pull against him here. But I mean, he's won a lot of fights with a lot of decisions. I mean, his best win is really against Dominic Reyes, and that's really the best, most impressive win he's had.
Yeah.
Israel, by the time he retires, will go down as the greatest middleweight ever to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is incredible. If you need any sort of comparison, pull up his pre-fight pictures versus post-fight pictures. Takedown percentage or takedown defense percentage. He strikes with just precision. I mean, the guy is just incredible. And right now, he is chasing a ghost of John Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing that could happen for the light heavyweight division is him winning, because he's not sticking around. Nope. He's going to win the belt. He's going to go after John Jones and then go back down to middleweight if a new challenge appears. But I just think that this guy is simply one of the best strikers we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I just don't see anyone other than a John Jones beating him.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I feel like John Jones is Israel Adonijah, just a little bit more athletic and not as sharp with the fist, but a little bit better with the legs. Israel Adonijah is a sniper. Like you said, he's one of the most precise strikers I've ever seen. When his windows and the way he throws his shots in the small windows that he gets, it's absolutely incredible. Now with Jan, the thing that I was wrestling with here, because I've been, when I do these things, I research a lot and just watch a lot of videos of what do people think. And so I do agree with one thing when it comes to the Jan. Jan is a little bit bigger than a lot of people that Israel has fought before. And they think that if Jan can, and the big consensus is if Jan can really push at Israel Adonijah, it would make Israel uncomfortable. But that's where I think Israel Adonijah's precise striking is going to come into play. And that's where I'm going to go Israel Adonijah here without a doubt. I think he wins it outright. I think Jan makes it interesting for the first round, maybe 2 rounds. I think he's going to come out and he's going to do, I think, what Gaethje did when he fought Khabib, which is try and be aggressive right out the bat, try and go crazy and try and push the pace. The problem is can Jan keep that up for an entire stint? I don't think he can.
Well, and the thing about Israel that has yet to really be tested, and I said before, he's got his 85% takedown defense, is him on the ground.
Yeah.
But like, Jan is not a wrestler. He's got 2-3 moves. He probably has 2-3 stable moves that he uses. And when those fail, what's he gonna do? Because I mean, you're dealing with a guy who is throwing a feint left calf kick in the first round so that he can knock you out with an overhand right in the third round. Like, you're just operating at different levels.
Yeah.
Like, if you've heard it once, you've heard it 1,000 times. There's levels of this game. Yeah. And he is on such a different level as far as striking goes. I am an Israel Adesanya nut rider for sure, and I understand that. But like he is that good.
See, I think this could be with Jan. I think, like you said, him and John Jones are just in their own categories. There's no one like them. There will never be anybody like them, I don't think.
Mhm.
Um, this is where I think, all right, so the Israel and Jan fight could become the John Jones Gustafson fight in my eyes. Somebody that maybe Israel doesn't take too seriously, someone who's a little bit got a little bit of size on him, somebody who's got some power in his hands and could make it interesting. But at the end of the day, we all know what happened when John Jones met up with Gustafson and actually cared. So will Israel Donizet show up, fully ready to go? That's what I don't know. But I'm going to stick with Israel Donizet probably with a third round stoppage. I don't see it going past the third round.
Yeah.
But Jan could make it interesting. Like I said, there's a couple of these fights where they could make it interesting. And that's what's weird or what's fun about the fight game is you can always make something interesting. But can you actually win that fight? And I just don't know that people like Megan Anderson and Jan can get that job done.
Yeah, and I believe Israel just got his purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu recently.
Yeah.
So he does have some skills on the ground if it does go to that level.
Yeah.
It's something that's never been seen. And usually this fight is 100% a chasing ghost fight.
Yeah.
And I usually advocate against chasing ghosts. Tony chased Khabib's ghost for 5 years, and by the time he got to a level where he had to give it up, he was already kind of out of the game.
Yeah.
And so I usually don't advocate for it, except in this case. I want to see John Jones and Israel they're engaging with each other. The smack talk is great. And I think it has the possibility to be a phenomenal fight. It seems like you have two willing parties, two interested parties. I think really the last thing you do is decide the weight and print the posters.
Well, and that's the deal.
If Izzy wins this, that's all there's left.
Yeah. Does John come down? John is saying that he's sticking firm with staying in the heavyweight division. So does Israel go up or does John go down? I think it's more likely that he would make Israel go up, which if John Jones gets a fight under his belt in heavyweight, I think John will definitely have the advantage there. Especially size-wise. But I don't know. There's a lot that could work out with that. Then that's why I hope happens. I hope Israel Donizet absolutely starches Jan, first 2 rounds. And then I want to see the banter immediately following that fight. I want to see him grab the mic and say, hey, John Jones, like, let's get it going. Let's get it done. Because that's a dream maker's fight right there. I mean, that is the fight of all fights.
Now, a little behind the scenes for everyone listening. We are recording on a Thursday, so the official weigh-ins haven't happened yet. Awesome. There is rumor that Israel's coming in about 10 pounds under the weight limit. So coming in around like 195, 200 pounds as opposed to the 205.
Whoa.
Which you would think, okay, so here's a guy who is everyone else is cutting weight. I mean, Jan probably walks around about 240, cuts down to 205.
Yeah.
And so now you have a guy who's walking around at about 195, 200, fighting at 205. And you think, is this the right move? I would be interested to see if he did jump up to fight in heavyweight, or if he just walked in there, super undersized and just relying on his skills. So I'll be interested to see exactly how that all plays out, and especially with the official weigh-ins and everything. But it's going to be spectacular. And, after the fights of last week, we could really use a spectacular fight.
Yeah. So we even talked about off air. Listen, the fight card wasn't great. We haven't had a lot of great fights. And that's Dana White said, listen, we're going to have a couple of really bad fight cards because we're going to build it up and have 3 championship fights all on one card and just keep everybody intrigued with how everything's going. Yeah, I'm interested to see where Israel goes after this. The weight thing might become an issue in this fight. I don't know. Because like I said, Jan is feels like a much bigger presence in person than Israel has faced thus far in his career. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's going to play a factor. Like I said, it could be one of those things that, get you the Gustafsson or something like that, where it's just like one of those weird matchups that people really don't expect to give that person a problem. And from what I mean, this is just, like I said, guys, this is just from what I research and my general fight knowledge. I think this could be interesting, but I'm sticking with the championship here, and I'd love to see the John Jones Israel Adonijah end of this year without a doubt.
Oh yeah, and the minute that happens, and if Izzy were to win this fight, now you got Francis thrown in the mix. Him and John have been chirping back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, as far as the soap opera of MMA goes, it's fantastic right now. Connor's turned into a nice guy. John Jones is gonna do John Jones stuff.
Yep.
This is just where we're at, guys. It's happening.
Well,
The Paul brothers make you root for Dylan Danis. I mean, there's just stuff that you just don't expect to happen.
Well, it's been a weird week because Conor McGregor came back. He's been tweeting a whole lot at Dustin, and basically he's been keeping it cordial. But then I've started to see, especially this week, it seems like Conor's getting back on edge. Like, listen, I'm tired of people saying I'm too nice now and I don't have the edge. So I think we're going to see a ferocious Conor come back. You've got DC chirping at John Jones, saying that John Jones can't knock out anybody at heavyweight. So, that's been a fun Twitter battle going on right now. Like you said, the soap opera of the UFC has just expanded immensely in these last few weeks. And then when you throw a Paul brother in there, and you have a Paul brother versus Ben Askren, I mean, what more could you ask for? If you're a fight fan, this is the year for you.
It is getting ridiculous. There's no two ways about that. You got Lil Wayne calling out Derek Lewis, and he's like, I told you about him. It's like, well, respectfully, Mr. Wayne, he is the number 4 ranked guy. Like, we knew about him.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, It's just the craziness that's coming around. But it was going to be fantastic. This card is stacked.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. I mean, like I say, you go through there, you got Drew Dober and Islam Makhachev. You got Dominic Cruz on the fight. You got Joseph Benavidez on. I mean,
yeah.
There are just names after names after names.
Yeah.
And I look back at some of the fight nights and I think, could have spread this around a little bit, guys, but
I was thinking that same thing. I was like, we could have gotten like 2 or 3 of these fights on different fight nights. That would have been a lot better. But if there's ever a fight night to watch from the beginning of the prelims to the end of the main event, if there's ever a UFC day that you're going to dedicate to, this is the day to do it. I mean, like you said, the prelims are stacked. Of course, the main card, we have 3 championship fights. And my personal opinion, I think the 3 championship fights could get very interesting. Even though I fully expect a lot of the champions besides Sterling to maintain their belts, I fully expect a good fight in the main event and the co-main event. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go for the money line. So I'm gonna go Aljamain. I'm gonna take Megan Anderson because I want that extra money, and then I'm gonna go Izzy. So I mean, I think those are gonna the fights. I wouldn't put those in a parlay, but like those are that's what I'm picking. So I think it's gonna be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm definitely putting money down on Megan.
$5.
Yeah.
Well, $5, you'll be fine.
$5, $10. If I make $1,000 just off a $10 bet, I feel like I'm making good life decisions here.
Yeah. I mean, so you don't go to Starbucks. It's fine.
Exactly. Nope.
let's just
Yeah.
let's get a little bit of extra money. But
No Taco Bell. Listen, I'm on the
just call
FNX.
it up. We'll get a sponsor around here. It'll be good.
Yeah, I'm on the FNX 30-day challenge, so I don't need Taco Bell. So why not just gamble that money away? So I don't eat it away. Takes that money out of my pocket, makes
That's
me
fair.
looking forward to it. Always want to thank our sponsor, FNX Fitness. Listen, FNX 30-day challenge has been going on, everybody. I know Steve has been involved in that, getting big every single day. Listen, there's never too late to join. You can always join us. Follow FNX Fitness, 15% off using your promo code TLR host, all capitals. We've got a bunch of sales that happened this week. So thank you all to those of you who are dedicating your life to getting happier and healthier. There's nothing better. Steve, you've been happier and healthier since you've been working out, and you enjoy it, don't you?
Oh, just love it. Juicy. Just feeling juicy. That's what I want to be,
I walked in on Steve shooting up in his kitchen the other day, his steroids. But hey, listen.
Listen, not FNX products. No,
No.
that's all on the up and up. But no.
These are label-less products that's going into his leg. Well, hey, there's another fighter's chance or puncher's chance. Excuse me, fighter's chance. Same thing. Fighters always got a chance. There's another puncher's chance in the books. Everybody, listen. Put your money down right now. We're calling it Anderson. Put it down. You might be able to win $1,000. It's only $10. Steve, we got a big card going on this week. Let's see how we do. You took the victory last time with your picks. This time I think we're both even. I think so. Either way, depending what happens, we'll be right along. So at least I'll be tied this time, but I will get the lead sometime in the near future. We got a lot of fights happening in March, so we will definitely be back with another puncher's chance very soon.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you then.
I'll see ya.